main portion that I've been dying to just kind of like talk about because it's the biggest thing that has happened in JJK probably up till now. We get Gojo versus Sukuna. And it is probably the best fight in JJK, period.
Yeah.
I don't, like, bar none, there's probably no other fight that will compare to that once it's animated. Because in the manga, it lasted so many chapters. It was long as fuck, as a proper fight should be. It covers everything. And we see the two strongest characters in the entire show go at it 100%. And fuck, that was insane.
Can you say that Sukuna was going 100% after
Well,
you've
I guess-
seen what he's done recently?
Okay, at 99%. He fucking tried, man. Like,
Bro, he created a whole new one.
he what?
Didn't he? Never mind.
Okay.
Continue.
Well, okay, almost 100% Sukuna.
Yeah.
Like, as strong as he could be using Megami's body, basically. So we get that fight, and it starts with, like, a fucking roided up hollow purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's right.
You remember that?
Uh-huh. Fuck.
That's a hell of a way to start a fight.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a regular one. He had he was charging it up, and then he had the blue-haired teacher lady with the scar on her face. I forget her name, but she has a curse technique that essentially amplifies someone else and someone else's curse technique. So she does this whole like ritual dance thing or whatever, amplifies Gojo, and he charges up that hollow purple, flicks it across the city to where Sukuna was standing on top of another rooftop, which was a really cool scene.
It was a good one, yeah.
And that hollow purple travels so insanely fast that Sukuna was caught off guard. He was like, oh, fuck. And like has to actually brace himself to not die right away. Because that if he had not been paying attention, that would have probably
been in the game.
that would have been into the game. Like they're going at it right away. There's really no holding back. But we get into this fight, and I think one of my favorite things about Gojo versus Sukuna is the fact that we get such a good combination of curse techniques, but also just straight up hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
And it's like refreshing to see that because, yeah, sure, you can have broken abilities, but I want to see you throw hands. Like, there's a certain like sense of martial arts that I think really just fills a good fight and makes it like much more enjoyable. And we got to see a lot of that with Gojo and Sukuna. I don't even know how to like really describe that fight because just so much happened.
So much. Like, it gets to the point that Sukuna had to be a fucking punk ass bitch.
Yeah, basically. He cheated.
He fucking cheated so
He
much.
cheated so damn bad. Before he even summons like Maharaga and the other
Other one,
Shadow.
I don't get it.
I don't get the other one, but before all that, they're having back-to-back domain expansion clashes. And it's crazy to see anybody really withstand Gojo's Infinite Void, because up until now, we had thought Infinite Void was just the most broken ability in the show. But here we are with Sukuna's domain being something that doesn't even have like a restricted space. Sukuna's domain is essentially as endless as he wants it to be.
It's a concept.
It's just a concept, which already sounds really broken. And then you have Gojo's domain, which is infinity. Like it starts getting so meta that like it hurts my brain to think about. But we get those clashes over and over, and they're going back and forth, and like it's crazy just seeing Gojo take the damage he's taking.
Yes.
Right? This is the first time we've ever seen Gojo try as hard as he has, like in his prime, because we obviously saw him get fucked up by Toji back in the day, like in the flashback arc, but he hadn't perfected his abilities just yet.
Yeah, he hadn't even really understood how to even throw a hollow purple yet.
Yeah, exactly. He barely learned how to do like red and blue and all that. So
He wasn't even efficient at red and blue.
No, not at all. So all these years later, him being as perfected and being the strongest sorcerer. Oh, I love that little title. The strongest sorcerer of today versus the strongest sorcerer
Oh my God.
of all time. Like that's such a cool concept or cool
that
title
fucking
for
line.
a fight. And they fucking go at it. Sukuna is constantly throwing slashes and attacking as brutal as possible at Gojo, actually bypassing his infinity somehow. It is explained. I couldn't tell you exactly how though, but it is explained that he's able to bypass that infinity. But Gojo is also just so well versed in reverse curse technique that he is healing himself almost before he's even taking those attacks.
Yeah, like when he explained how, like, after the whole Toji thing, like how he like gives himself like a fresh brain to work with constantly. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And he's just really proficient with it right now.
Yeah. So it's crazy seeing all that. Like, you see him lose limbs too. It's not even just surface level scratches. He loses an arm, and then in the next panel, he fucking gets it back.
Pulls a Piccolo.
Yeah, pulls a Piccolo. Dang, Piccolo would be jealous. He wishes he could fucking regenerate that.
It doesn't look like it hurts.
It doesn't. They make it look like pop. It's back.
Poor Namekians.
Poor Namekians. Just give him a reverse cursed energy. So that's all happening. And it's crazy because they are spamming domain expansions back and forth to the point where, one of the things that blew my fucking mind was that the reason Sukuna was tanking all of Gojo's domain expansions was because he was essentially transferring all of that infinity that Gojo puts on Sukuna onto Megumi. Onto Megumi's soul, essentially. That way Sukuna wouldn't bear the burden of having infinity just,
dropped on his mind,
melt your brain like that. Which makes me think, how the fuck is Megumi gonna come out of this
he's not gonna come out normal.
He's gonna come out a vegetable if he comes out of this alive. There's no fucking way. And it's so, I will say, one of my favorite panels, because it was just so sad and it was so like, damn.
Talking about
when he's like crawled up and stuff and just like, just like depressed essentially. But like, I feel for Megumi so bad because we completely glossed over the fact that he had to kill his sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like since Megumi's sister was taken over by a different sorcerer and Sukuna took over Megumi, they wanted a 1v1, and when that happened, Sukuna obviously ended up, winning that fight. But if you see it from a surface level, you see Megumi killing off his sister, and after that panel, you see Megumi just like kind of in tears, just in pure darkness, like, realizing
breaking down
because he couldn't do anything to control his body, and after all those years of trying to protect his sister, he wasn't even able to do anything to stop it. That was really painful.
Think about it. He's kind of got like a Hulk kind of situation going on.
Yeah. Oh, we're like Bruce Banner versus like the Hulk and stuff.
Yeah, like it's a whole nother person that took over your body and just threw you in the trunk.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened basically. It's really sad to see that, and not only that, just seeing Sukuna kind of keep transferring most of the pain and most of the infinity attacks that he's tanking from Gojo onto Megumi's soul in order to keep lasting in this fight just makes you wonder, like, damn, like, that poor kid. I really don't think he's gonna make it out alive, but we'll see. I mean, crazier things have happened. But
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, but we keep saying all of that until it gets to the point where basically Sukuna just decides to fucking cheat and pulls out Maharaga and another shadow that we hadn't been introduced to before, which was also really strong, actually. Yeah. And I don't even remember what that one was called.
I don't either, but I think it has to imply with how creative you can be with the shadow technique. But I think, like, when somebody who isn't a fucking, egg white, bland ass piece of fucking toast like Megumi, you can create better fucking shadows.
Well, you have better control over the shadows at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it makes sense Sukuna could pull something out of his ass.
Yeah, so it ended up being a 3 versus 1, and Gojo was still holding his own.
Yeah.
This is what makes me think that, like, it was rigged from the start, because had it just been Sukuna versus Gojo, I still think Gojo would have won, right? Oh, it never touched on the whole I'd win thing. That whole meme essentially just comes from like, the overconfidence of Gojo talking to Yuji when he asks him, like, if it was you versus Sukuna, like, who would win? It'd be tough, but I'd win. Spoiler alert, he did not.
Okay, yeah, we're just gonna,
Well, because that's kind of towards the end, like the end of that fight, we get Gojo versus Maharaga, that other shadow, and Sukuna. And Gojo actually does really fucking well in the sense that he one-shots that other shadow, right? Which did not last very long. I don't even remember that shadow's name, but it was very, very strong.
It's still a terrifying thing. It's easily special
just,
grade.
Like just under Maharaga, but stronger than all of his other shadows that we had seen up until then. So that thing gets blown away, and he ends up destroying Maharaga too, right?
The first ever member of the Gojo clan to successfully defeat Maharaga.
Mm-hmm. And now all that's left is Sukuna, but fucking Gojo is gassed out. He has been spamming domain expansions, using his infinity like nonstop, using his six eyes technique to its fullest in order to keep up with everything. And he does some really like crazy techniques where he like throws out, I think, a red and makes it like go around they use their environment a lot, which I think is really cool in a fight. I love when they do that because it makes it feel more realistic. He uses his environment and essentially sends out a red that at first glance looks like it misses Sukuna, or like he dodges it, but using its own gravitational pull essentially like makes it spin around and then it like comes back around behind him. And as it's coming around, then he fires the blue, right? And as they're both going towards Sukuna, he dodges them, but then they converge
and turn into
the purple, which does hit him, right? And that purple does hit him, and that's kind of where it ends. That chapter ends, we think, oh, it's done. Like he hit him with the purple. There's literally no other like stronger attack that he could have done, and we're left to think that he wins. Psych. Come next chapter, we're immediately thrown into not even a flashback, more of like a dreamlike sequence where he's talking to Nanami, he's talking to the other guy that they went
is their other friend
that had passed away. They're all talking, and you're already seeing like those death flags. You're like, oh fuck. Oh, that's not good. And then that chapter ends with Sukuna being royally like fucked. Like I've never seen him look that damaged before, but standing over Gojo's, or half of Gojo's body, because at the very last moment Sukuna throws out his world-ending slash, which is still bullshit in my opinion. What the fuck is even that?
That's his curse.
Go for it. Explain it.
Like, okay, you remember during this is the best way I can like interpret it so that I guess everybody understands it, I guess. You know when Sukuna was fighting Maharaga, and he was sitting there like going like, you can see it, can't you? Like you can see my curse, Maharaga. Like that's the truest essence of it.
So it's like the purest form of his technique is that world-ending
like
slash.
You know how like there's hollow purple?
Yeah.
World-ending slash is essentially like for that, like for the slash, yes.
So would you say that that's like just a dimension-cutting slash essentially? It can transcend like a dimension to the point where it can bypass infinity?
Huh.
Is that basically how you would picture it?
Yeah.
That's the best way that I could explain it to myself, because like that's what he was struggling with. Like he could do surface level slashes on Gojo, but he couldn't do anything that permanent until that world-ending slash.
And I might be wrong, but it might be also the combination of cut and cleave.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of those two, and it was also just kind of like that perfect timing of Gojo not having enough energy really to stop the damage to where he could kind of like heal himself or something. Like no, it cut his torso in half, and you see Gojo's dead body on the ground. Like that's it. So Gojo is dead, and we had thought for the longest time that like, oh, but like maybe he's not dead.
You know, like, bro, people have memed about him coming back for months. Like, oh, what, you know, what's her name healed him? You know, used reverse curse technique, and now he's good. Or you know, oh please, Gojo's back, and you know he's a nightmare. No,
no, he's dead.
Yeah, no, he's like, I can say without a doubt, he is fucking gone for good.
Yeah, and knowing how much Gege also hates Gojo, like Gojo apparently is his least favorite character.
Yeah, he pulled a Madara. He wrote himself into a corner with a being that was just like
so absurdly powerful.
Yeah.